Hi, I'm Gaia.
I'm Angelica.
Today we're speaking to Eve Laurier, Global Head of Marketing and Comms at Bombardier, the global aviation titan behind the world's most advanced business jets flying in over 100 countries. Hello, Eve.
Hello, ladies.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us, what is Bombardier?
So Bombardier, I would say, is an iconic Canadian company that is globally known for manufacturing and servicing business jets. Some people call them private jets. We call them business jets. We can talk about that later. So we make two different. We own Learjet. So you probably have heard of that brand because that's an iconic brand in the U.S. We own it. Those were smaller jets, so we don't produce those jets anymore. But there's still so many of them out there. We service them. We do the maintenance. But we make the Challenger and we make the Global, two different programs. The Challenger flies around 3,000 to 4,000 nautical miles. The Global, which we just delivered our first Global this week, the Global 8000 flies 8,000 nautical miles. That means around 19 hours.
Okay, all
Very
right.
cool. So I think it would be worth discussing what your role is and where you fit in on the larger picture and how you got to the position you're in.
Okay. I'm in charge of marketing, global marketing, communications, internal, external communications, and government affairs. So basically, I handle, I would say, the reputation, the storytelling of the company in front of all of its major stakeholders, whether it's shareholders, media, government, buyers, customers, and the general population. So my job is to build the story around the company, to use the right channels, to tell the right stories, and to engage with all of our audiences.
Yeah.
And I'm in charge of the brand of the company.
The first question that pops to my mind is obviously this is a very complex landscape specifically from a comms perspective. So what would you say is the most challenging aspect of navigating something like that?
Private jets, business jets, they are for a very, very, very limited, piece of an audience that's very hard to get to.
Yeah.
And it's to challenge ourselves to not only try to speak to that audience, but try to speak to generations, right? Because it's not only about selling the product, it's about making the story accessible and interesting. Even though you will never buy the product, maybe never fly on the product, it's still such an amazing story to tell.
So I feel like you've got two stories going. You've got one for the employees and then one for the consumer. What's the story you say to each? Is it the same one? Do you differ it? Do you tailor it?
There's so many audiences around what it is that we do. So I think a good story is one that's specifically engaging to the audience that you're talking about. When it comes to employees, it's a story about the variety of different jobs that you can have in a company like Bombardier. You can be a very creative person working on innovation, or you can be a very technical person working on building the plane, or you can be an engineer, or you can be, it's a public company. So in finance, we need somebody that are really, really good in finance and doing trades and deals and negotiations. So that's part of the story. And then, of course, when I'm talking to the ultra high net worth individual, there's really only, 4 companies that do private jets. So it's to find the differentiating factors about our company, not just about a product. So they want to engage with us instead of engaging with the competition. So very different. But at the end of it, though, it's all about the pure DNA of the company, and that everybody has to hear that same story.
I think it's interesting because we obviously work at Pictet, so a lot
Yes.
of ultra high net worths, and we've been exposed to a lot of founders who work with ultra high net worths as well. In your opinion and in your space, what do ultra high net worths want?
Service, agility, authenticity, transparency, fast-paced solution finding, right?
Which is probably quite hard in your industry.
Actually, it's what we excel at. So I don't want to be like promotional about our
do it.
discussion,
please.
but Bombardier for the second year in a row has been like number 1 in the 2 surveys out there about like client servicing and maintenance and all of that. It's a big deal. It's very hard to attain number 1 position, to keep it 2 years in a row. And it's from peers. So it's from clients, it's from pilots, director of maintenance who say that we're actually the most agile company in like solving problems and for the customer experience. So for us, it's not just about the product. It's about once you become a client, what kind of experience are you going to have? And a lot of people ask me about luxury. Like, you're a luxury company. What is luxury? Luxury is service. Luxury is consistency in the service that you deliver, not just for your client, but for the people who are important to your client. Right? So I'm super proud that our company doesn't just do the best product, but it gives the best relationship and the best customer experience to the people around the product.
What does that customer experience look like? So, because I imagine that quite a few of our listeners are probably quite curious to know what that actually means. So if you're prospecting, if you want to, sell a jet to a given client, what is the differentiating factor? What would a typical sales pitch look like?
So I would tell you that each prospect is very different. So the first thing is we don't have a pitch and we don't have a cut and paste way. It's really zoning in on who that person is and what's going to be the perfect experience for them. So you could have a prospect that wants to buy a plane over the phone, or like actually just using a configurator. They have no time. They don't want to take too much time on the design. They don't want the she love experience. They just, give me my plane and I want it as fast as possible.
Just get it done.
And I know you have a backlog of 18 months. I'm willing to pay more. Figure it out. I need it in a year. That's one type of client. The other type of client is fly the plane over to me.
Yeah.
I want to demo it with my entire family. I want you to show me exactly how long it takes to go from my house in London to my Alpine house in Gstaad. And I need you to, I need to meet your CEO because, we've also made our money with a family company. So this heritage is important to us. So please invite your CEO over for dinner to meet my family. So that's just to imagine anecdotally and invented, but that's the spectrum.
Yeah.
And a good company and a company like us that sells private business jets, and we do about 150, 160 a year. It's about figuring out exactly what the customer journey that you want and not over delivering on what you don't need and never under delivering, right? So I would say there is not one customer experience. They're all very different. I've seen entire families come to the factory and stay for 3 days. And I've seen people say on the phone, give me one, actually give me two. I've seen it all. Yeah.
So what happens in the situation where the whole family comes over and then nothing comes of it? Is that just part of the business?
Yeah, that's part of the business. And it can be a very long purchasing journey, right? Some people know and they're ready to buy, and some people are like, I'm thinking, I've been chartering. I don't know if I want my own aircraft. I don't know if I want to keep a... So, this is a long journey. You never know. It could close in 2 years from now or 3 years from now. So it's never a wasted opportunity. I'm not in sales, but I spend so much time with the sales team, and that I believe that to be their philosophy. They're not trying to go fast. They're trying to do it the right way. And, it's a big purchase, so we respect that.
When it comes to the manufacturing process, this is something I think that is, again, quite mysterious to many people listening. What does that look like, and how complicated really is the supply chain? If you had to explain it with just a 360 overview.
Well, first of all, building aircrafts, manufacturing, engineering, certifying aircraft is one of the most complicated things that a company can do in industry. It's a very complicated industry. In a geopolitical world that we live in right now, because of the supply chain, because of the tariffs, and I don't want to get political, but it's been an increase in complexity that we didn't have to deal with. We had COVID. That was another, it's something that we manage very carefully and very proactively. So the supply chain is very complicated, and then when you walk into one of our factories, you would imagine it to be so loud, right? But it's actually not. It's big parts that we're putting together, and then we work from the inside of the plane a lot with all the wirings and the fuselage inside of the plane. They're beautiful factories. They're white, they're pristine, and they're extremely well organized. I'm not an organized person in my life. If you want, the Marie Kondo's things, if you want to become an organized person, go and watch how people at Bombardier manufacture the aircraft. Everything has a place. Everything goes somewhere. There's a process to building the plane. It's very rigorous, and of course for safety reasons. So it's people, and it's funny because people think that it's going to be kind of like an operationally cold experience. You go into a factory. Every time I bring people to a factory, they leave and they feel like emotionally charged. There's so much like fraternity, sorority, like the people working around the aircraft are really putting their souls into it. This is a product that's going to fly at 41,000 feet with people in it. So it's also a very serious, you know, like what you're delivering is for the safety of people. So they pour their heart and soul into each aircraft, truly.
I can imagine, because it's so clinical, right? And it's like centuries of research basically coming together to deliver one particular thing. So I can imagine it's like seriously complex.
It's very complex.
And that sort of group mentality is what makes it luxury and what makes it work.
Yeah, and then the interior of the aircraft, which is not the manufacturing, but it's the craftsmanship. Like every single plane, there are limitations to what we can do inside of the plane, but you get to choose your fabrics, choose your divan, put a bed, no bed, a shower, no shower, 1 microwave, 2 microwave. Like you get to curate your plane however you want. And then we have a team of designers listening to what the client wants or their designers. And then they go off and they speak to the people that are sewing, the people that are putting the veneer, the people that are working on the wood to get each plane done to the altitude of the vision of the client. So the craftsmanship, it's another experience. So if you come to Montreal, please, I'll show you the factory where they make the plane, and then I'll bring you to the place where they actually do the craftsmanship of all the interior. You can see the cashmeres and the wool and the veneers, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
So I think for the listeners, I think it would be great to know what your career progression has been and how you got to the position you're in now.
It's called Independent Minds, right?
Independent Minds. That's the name.
You are an independent
I feel like
mind.
I should get that tattoo. It really resonates with me because that's kind of been, if I look back, I'm going to be 50 this year. So I get a chance to look back and I go, wow, like what's been the secret? And I've had quite of an independent mind, I think. So always aligning with the people around me, but kind of owning a vision very, very clearly of where we have to go, being able to communicate that vision and rally people around it, and then pitch your ideas to get the resources, the money, the head count, you know, to speak in corporate words, like 2 resources, head count or money, and then prove yourself along the way. So I've started my career quite young in advertising, Publicis, which is a huge group. I was like literally the first office I was given was like it wasn't even an office, it's where they put the brooms and stuff like that.
No,
like
cupboard.
Yeah.
Like Harry Potter.
There was exactly. It was kind
under
of like
the staircase.
yeah, there was nothing. There was no windows. There was nothing. There was a table. You could tell they had just taken the brooms out and they put a telephone and they sat me there and they're like, welcome. And I was like, what do I do? They're like, you'll figure it out. And that was the best. I remember that day like vividly. That was like the best day of my life because they said, figure it out. Like, I'm the type of person you say, figure it out, and I figure it out.
We hear that
Really?
so deeply.
But then the thing is, that's so interesting because the reactions you can get to something like that are so wildly opposite. There are some people that will feel so excited and other people that will have a panic attack.
Crumble under figure it out and not being given instructions.
So I think that speaks to speaks very clearly to the kind of person that you are. Because I think, and again, listeners will relate to this. You can identify what group you're in. It's so different.
Because if you give me an instruction book that's like color coded, I will crumble.
Oh, I will crumble. I can't. I swear I can't cook. I can't follow recipes. It freaks me out.
Tell me what it should taste like, and give me the ingredients, and give me a glass of wine,
exactly.
and then let me go.
I'll do color identification.
There you go. Oh, I love that. It's the first time I actually voiced that, and I'm glad that you have a reaction to it because that's
totally resonate with that.
Every single time that I've been told like this is what has to be done, I go whoa. But every single time I've been told figure it out, and here's the objective. I'm like, let's go.
It's exciting.
You know? So that's how I've built my career. So I went from advertising. So I don't know if you use that in English, but you go at agency or client side. So I did agency side, then I went client side. So 7 years one place, 7 years another place. So I always do 7 years, which is funny. And then after client side, I had nothing else to do. I was like, I've built this thing, so I decided to have a baby because I'm a woman.
Congratulations.
So now he's 12. So then I had a son. And then I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? I didn't want to go back to my big job. Like, it had been done. And then I was invited to go to an agency, but as general manager, so as the president of the agency. So that was amazing. So then I became kind of the leader of an agency. I did that for 7-8 years. And then I went to Bombardier, where I feel like Bombardier is the place where all my agency knowledge and also all my client side knowledge comes together, you know, at the right time for what the company needed, which is kind of rebuilding the reputation. Bombardier is completely transformed. It used to be, I believe, 70,000 employees. So we had like a train division.
70,000.
70,000. It was huge.
Wow.
So train division, commercial jet division, business jet division. And then almost 6 years ago, they divested everything and they decided to focus on just business jets. So new CEO, new vision. And that's when I was brought in and they said, people are very confused about what Bombardier is. They don't understand it anymore. Come and tell that story and rally people around all of our stakeholders where we're going and figure it out.
That's a really exciting.
And that's what I did. I was like, throw me that ball and let me run. So it's been 5 years.
And so what was your key thing that you were like, right, this is how I'm going to get the story into everyone's head? How did you actually execute it?
So I was given a gift by my CEO after 2 years in the business. He brought me into his office and he said, I think what you're doing is great, but now we need a major something. And he said, let's rebrand the company. And he gave me, and that was a big figure it out because like Bombardier is one of those heritage brands in the Canadian community and landscape that people have an emotional reaction to. It's their company. It's a family business, so to touch that logo and that creative proposal around the brand identity was like a gift, but also potentially a career.
I think we can relate to
Yeah, you've done it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so interesting hearing you speak about Figure It Out because I mean this whole podcast, Gary and I started from scratch at Pictet. So this entire process has been figuring it out, right?
And it's been the most exciting thing, honestly.
It's been so exciting. It's been disaster after disaster after disaster.
Really.
Changing, adapting. Like we've got amazing people working with us now. We've had to work through that. Like it's the whole thing has been figure it out. And every person we've spoken to on this podcast, although they may not have voiced figure it out, that's essentially what they've been saying. I found a problem. I figured it out. There was a solution. I figured out a way to execute it. And I think like at its core that is what Independent Minds is and that's what you are. And so I think it's interesting hearing you speak about why the reputation from Bombardier was so terrible and how you figured it out to make it good.
Yeah. And
how did you do it?
I figure it out and I have my super executive assistant friend and nemesis. Nemesis is that? No, nemesis is a bad word. That's an English word. Anyway,
nemesis is
nemesis is a bad word, right?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it
nemesis means like your worst enemy.
Your worst enemy.
No, it's the contrary. He's my best friend. But we're trying to write a book, and I think "Figure It Out" should be the title of the book. But it's also, but you're not going to figure it out by yourself. And if again, my 50-year-old self looking back. What's changed so much in my behavior is I'm not trying to figure it out by myself anymore. Yeah. As you get older, and I don't want to sound like I'm like old Auntie Eve. I'm so sorry because I'm not 50, but super young and vibrant. But the truth is, like, if you have the attitude of figure it out, just know it's impossible to do it by yourself. And if you do it by yourself,
this is so interesting. This is so interesting because, again, this is a founder insight that keeps on recurring. And interestingly enough, the generational gap there is very evident because if you speak to a young founder, most of them haven't gotten to that point yet. They're at the point where the business is their baby or whatever, their career is their baby, and they struggle to trust other people with that. And one of the most compelling founders we spoke to actually said that the most important thing as a founder is to know when to get out of your own way.
Exactly.
And that I think really resonated. And you don't need to be a founder to understand that. No. I think anyone who's ambitious and is very perfectionist and very OCD about what they do, because that ultimately means that you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
Anyone can relate to that, I think.
One of the founders we spoke to last, actually, her name is Anne. She works at Amadeus. She founded a huge VC company. She was saying with her businesses, she was saying the really successful founders build a business that can function without them. Does that resonate with you at all?
Oh my God, please.
Yeah.
Let's give a class at university, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yes, exactly. Like it's all about the team, and I'm learning right now how to perfect the perfect team. They're all perfect, but how to get their talent to be pulled in at the right time in the right project. So my team is like between 80 and 85 people, give and take.
Wow.
And it's the team is growing, and it's hard because there may be somebody that sits in a role somewhere that has nothing to do with the project that I'm about to work on, but somehow that is their superpower. What I'm trying to crack as a problem that I don't have the solution, they're not exposed to it, but they're sitting in my team. And if I get to expose the problem that I'm trying to solve to the entire team, and I get to build a culture of trust, that even though they're junior or they can raise their hand and say, I can help, then we got something. Like, that's it.
And I think that speaks to the culture that you're curating, because a lot of places don't like that. A lot of places don't like seeing other people grow and seeing other people putting their ideas forward. But again, I think that can speak to, your leadership and where you want to take the company.
But it's hard, no matter
thing.
how many times I tell people, come to me, talk to me, text me, WhatsApp me, LinkedIn me, Signal me, call me on the weekends. If I say anything or do anything that sparks a creative, or you think I'm about to do something wrong and you know I'm about to do something wrong because you have the experience and I don't, tell me. But often there is that, I don't know if trust, I think people trust me, but I think they're scared.
Well, I think it's a confidence issue at its core, right? It's at its core. It's I'm scared this is going to be rejected and reflect badly on me, so I'm just not going to say anything at all.
So then, for the people listening, nobody can fix that but yourself for yourself. Yeah. No matter how much you have a boss that's empathetic, open, trustworthy, and I'm not saying I'm all of these things, but I'm really trying. Those are the values that I really hold. I cannot give you confidence. And that is one thing. Like, if I look at my career, independent mind, and then I worked really hard to build confidence. Like, building confidence, some people go to the gym. I should. I don't. I will one day.
But you are very sporty. Tell the audience what you're doing.
I play outside and everything. But my point is, if you want to build confidence, you have to see it like going to the gym. You have to take that as a journey to work on, and it's going to serve you all of your career. So for me, building confidence was risk-taking, was stretching myself into assignments that nobody wanted. Then, and I was like, oh, there's something that nobody wants that I could take and maybe solve, and then maybe that's going to help my career. So,
I think we really, really hear that as well. It's being comfortable also, if you're going to put yourself out there, being comfortable with people not liking what you're doing.
Oh my God.
And being comfortable with have people pushing back. I think that's sort of even further down the line. Like, the initial confidence is just putting the hand up. The second confidence, which is the bit that grows bit by bit, is being okay with people being like, I hate what you're doing, and not crumbling under it.
But also, I think, and this is something that my mother has always told me, and I'm giving her the first shout out in this podcast. She's going to be really happy. But she's always said, unfortunately, envy is the highest form of praise. Yeah. So more often than not, I think when you have the courage to do something that other people would love to do, but they actually don't want to admit to themselves that they don't have the guts that it takes, that's when you see the really visceral reactions, especially when you're young in a corporate role. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Or a young, dynamic, speak with your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's worst cocktail.
It's the worst cocktails. And you still crumble. I still crumble. I mean, I still crumble. I crumble all the time. I crumbled this morning with coffee with my super Nick that's sitting here listening. But what you do less of when you crumble is stick with it. Yeah. You know Mel Robbins? I know you know Mel Robbins.
Oh, of course we do.
Right? So let them theory.
That is so,
so when you're crumbling, you gotta okay, I've crumbled. I accept the moment, because you have to be zen about it. Like, I'm going through something tough. I did something great, and then I still have people wishing that I wasn't successful, like it still happens, it does make me crumble. It's not, I'm not at this, maybe at 60, you know, but I'm
Well,
not
you're
at
only
this,
human.
I'm
like,
only human. But now I'm like,
it's the bounce
let's go.
back. What is the private aviation market like, and how have you seen the demand change and grow or plateau?
Oh my God, not plateau.
What's happened? Yeah.
It's incredible. It's buzzing. Like it's
Wow.
That's
really,
crazy.
it's so, we're in such a growth phase right now.
Yeah.
So I think there's been many accelerators. COVID was an incredible accelerator. At the beginning, I think the industry felt like, uh-oh, it's aviation, it's COVID, everything's gonna get grounded. So people, you know, stopped their orders and panicked, which is totally normal. Everybody panicked but then something happened is that not only the billionaires, but the millionaires that were totally able to buy first class business tickets to fly anywhere in the world said, okay, there's no commercial aircraft. If I pay 30 to 50% more for each ticket, I will be able to charter a private jet to go to my house in St. Martin or whatever. And they could stretch that money because they have it. They just never had thought about chartering, or commercial was, you know, it was still doing well and accessible. But during COVID, and they never came back to commercials. So the charter industry took off. And so they started calling us not to order one plane, but to say, we have no more hours to sell. Sell me 10 Globals, 5 Challengers. How fast can I get them? And those are tons of new charter company. So the millionaires now have access to chartering private jets. And of course, the world has more billionaires, as you know. So those billionaires are not even considering anything else than owning a jet. And then also big corporations are becoming faster, more global in regions that are inaccessible by commercial jets. So even the week I'm having this week, without getting into the details, it's impossible physically with the time that we have available in a week to do my week this week in commercial jet. I can only do what I'm about to do this week.
Yeah.
Toronto, London, back to Toronto, Montreal, between Monday and Thursday. That's because I'm on a private jet. Otherwise, commercially, I would not be able to do it. So it's huge growth trajectory. So we're very pleased. Everything is okay.
We're thriving.
I'm so happy for all of our employees because they've gone through like very difficult times at the company, and now, you know, you come to the factory and you see people giving each other high fives, and you know, we see the stock price going, and we see the orders coming in, and the first reactions we have is thinking about our employees and celebrating that success with them because they so deserve it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Bonjour à tout le monde au Québec. Bonjour aux employés de Bombardier.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Thank
ladies.
you. Thank you. Remember, figure it out.
Figure it out.